Hello everyone, 3.10 is in wave 1, the NDA is down. There have been a lot of changes to targeting, so I thought I would go through them to give people a head start. And here we go. So there's 3 levels of targeting right now. There's selection, pinning, and lock. Okay, so first we'll go through selection. Selection is really just finding a target and getting it highlighted by the UI. You can do it with your nose, as you can see here, or you can do it with look. So if I put my nose over here, I can move my head around and select stuff that way. It's determining what to select based on not just how close it is to the center of your view, but also hostility, range, stuff like that. So that's really important to know. And so once you have something selected like I do here, you can do one of 2 things, or you can do both. You can lock or you can pin. Now, locking is what people would have thought previously of as just targeting, and it will give you your lag pips, lead pips, whatever, all of your targeting information, more information on the target. So I'll use the 1 key here, and I'll show you all these keybinds later to basically just lock on to what I have selected right now. So there it is. So you can see I get the name, the range, and it's interesting here because now you're seeing what it looks like when you have something locked but something else selected. So I have a hostile contact selected there, but I have the friendly NPC there locked. And you can see I've got my lag pips here now too. Okay, so pinning is sort of gives you the same information as locked, but you don't have weapons. You don't have it's basically what you haven't decided you're going to attack or whatever. And the reason why you need to pin right now is because you can't just cycle through targets quite as easily as you could in 3.9. You have to select it, and then you have to either lock or pin it. So it's good to pin stuff because what that does is it allows you to quickly go back to it later. So let's say I'll pin up my wingman here, which I also happen to have locked. So I'll show you these keybinds later, but oh, see that? I thought that I had Warlord selected, but I actually had the hostile. So now the hostile is in my pin slot number 1. So let's say I want to put I think it's probably Vixen here in number 3, and I'll show you how to do that later. And then to put Warlord in number 2, I think I'm going to have to target something else and then select Warlord. There. So now I've got all of them, and now using some other keybinds, I can sort of go between them. So I have 3 things pinned now. Actually, now I have 2 because 1 just died. And I can lock either one of them using some keybinds here. So now I have 1 locked, now I have 2 locked, 1 locked, 2 locked. So you can see how that can be useful. Because there's no just, oh, there's a guy to my right, let me just tab, or not really tab, but cycle until I get him. That's not how it works anymore. So that is the important thing, is that you pin targets so that you can easily lock them up later. Also, you get some UI for them, so that would be another reason you'd want to pin. So maybe I can just kill this guy and get some more people in so that I can demonstrate some more. I'm trying to stay away because it's really hard to talk and explain all this while... Oh, see? So I didn't have my targeting information because I had him pinned, I had him selected, but I didn't have him locked. So now I have him locked. And you can see all the new UI here too, so that's kind of cool. All right. So now I'm just going to get the hell out of the way. And I'm going to go into the keybinds now and explain to you where all this stuff is. And there's actually some other choices you can make. All right, options. Okay, so go to key bindings. I'll just stick to keyboard and mouse. It's all the same keybind options here for both. I have kind of a weird setup where I program my joystick gremlin that White Magic makes to press keyboard keys. So that's why you're going to see some of those here. Okay, so lock unlock selected target. So you select something, which means you get the square. And it's a little bit confusing because if you get in close enough, you won't get the square. And I know that I don't really like that because what it does is it outlines the ship, and to me that's a little bit hard to see. So sometimes you have something selected and you don't realize it. But lock unlock selected target, I would say wherever you had reticle focus before is probably what you want to put that. And it happens to be 1, which is where reticle focus was before too. Lock nearest attacker. So remember how I said you can't just willy-nilly lock up or find anything that isn't in front of you? Well, that's actually not true. If something is targeting you, you'll be able to lock the nearest. If there's multiple targeting you, it'll lock the nearest. So you can press 2 to do that by default. So you'll see I unbound these, but these are bound to 3, 4, and 5 by default. So you can pin with 3. You can cycle between your pins with 4 and 5. The reason I unbound them is because I'm using these down here, which is the indexing system. So you saw before how I was able to pin something in the 1 slot and then pin something in the 3 slot and then go 2. And that's because I can choose because I'm using this indexing system. So it's a little bit confusing here because it doesn't show, but these aren't actually the exact same bindings. By default, and I'll show you the option, lock unlock is with tap and pin unpin is with hold. So if I'm selecting a target and I hold 3, it'll pin it into the 1 slot. I know that's a little bit confusing. If I then later tap 3, it'll lock up whatever I pinned into the 3 slot. So that's the system I use because I really like it. I think that's possibly like the thing I like most about 310 is the ability to do this. This is probably useful if you have less key bindings available to you or if you're on a keyboard or something. But this is like round robin and you don't get to choose what's in each slot. And I like to just have it organized the way I like it. Like, maybe I want my wingman to always be in the 3 slot, so I'll always pin my wingman into the 3 slot. So that's the way I do it. You can remove all pin number. This is with default by 0. All right. So let's go through this right now. So I told you that you couldn't just cycle through targets, and you may say, well, these look like, target cycles. All right, so let's talk about that real quick. Okay, if I can get more than one. So if I have multiple guys in front of me, do I have multiple guys in front of me? No, all right, here we go. Now I got multiple in front of me. So what if I'm over here and I want to target somebody else, right? So if I have them both, don't want to go off the boundary. This is really distracting. If I have them both in my view, then I can cycle everything in my view using those keybinds. And it's like before where you can, sorry about that, you can specify whether you're cycling hostiles, friendlies, or all. Right now I have all forward and back because I think that that's going to work the best for me, at least for right now. So if I still had Warlord and Vixen here, it would cycle between them as well, but only if they're in your forward view. So it's not going to cycle stuff behind you unless it bugs out, which sometimes it does. See that? And I can go back. And so that way you can, do your pinning that way if you want to. There you go. And then if I want to target 1 again, then I hit the 3 key. I know it's a little bit confusing. If I want to target 2 again, I hit the 4 key. If I want to target 3 again, I hit the 5 key. That's basically it. And if I want to unpin this, then I will hold the 5 key. If I want to relabel this one as, it's not going to work because I don't have it selected. There. If I want to relabel this as 3, then I will hold the 5 key. There you go. So that is targeting in a nutshell. I just want to show you some more sort of nuanced things now that we're getting toward the end of the video. Okay, so flight targeting. All right, so you still have your sub-targeting, right? And reset sub-target, so that hasn't changed. And I think that is it for this menu. There are some new settings here. So we've got all the way down here. Okay, so since we're talking about targeting, I might as well talk about this. You can, you know, customize stuff that shows up here, which is awesome. I've been waiting for them to allow us to customize our UI for a long time. Thank you. I really appreciate that, but of course I'm going to leave everything on because I want all of the information. Auto selection behavior. So use look direction or use VJoy. I use look direction because I'm going to be using my my track IR, like I showed you. Filtered controls. So I put it to allow only index controls. But if you have things bound correctly, you shouldn't need to worry. It should be allow all controls, but I just have it index controls just to be safe. So basically I'm telling it I only want to index. I don't want to do the round robin pinning thing. All right, pinning index controls. So I said it was tap to lock, hold to pin. You can actually switch it so it's the other way around. I don't know why you'd want, but maybe some people want to do that. Targeting pinning overflow behavior. So this doesn't apply to index controls. This applies to if you're doing the round robin. So overflow, it basically, if you are out of pin slots, it's whether it overflows or not. And that's pretty much everything that's new here. Since we're here, I guess ESP is kind of like targeting. It's sort of on topic. I'll talk about that right now. Hey, look, you've got ESP controls here. So that's really cool. We haven't had that before. I think it defaults to like 1.1 or something. I don't like any damping. I put it to 1. And then the precision zone size, I find that the default works pretty well for me. So I'll explain what these things do. Precision zone size, it's the area on your screen, like it's 8 degrees in this setting that ESP is basically going to be active. Okay, so and it's not an on-off. It curves in. So don't think it's like going to be at exactly 8 degrees. And then precision damping curvature. So ESP does 2 things really. The first thing it does is it takes your input, it takes the ideal input to get to the target, and then it blends them. I don't know if it averages or does something else fancy, but it blends them. And then another thing that ESP can do is it can dampen your input. So as you're trying to move toward a target, it makes it so your stick is less sensitive, which actually means that you have to add more and more to continue your motion toward the target, which is why I don't like it. I like, just pure, like I don't need to have my stick deadened. I've got a pretty good stick. I would think that you would want to use this if you got maybe not such a, sort of a older stick or something like that. But I like it at 1. I think the reason why it defaults to so low is because most people have been liking it lower like that. And that's pretty much it. There's a lot of new stuff in 3.10. I'm hoping to make more of these videos, but I think that's enough for this one. And I don't think there's really anything else. I mean, I'll just note that you've got the target bracket now, which is really cool. The sort of older style target bracket that's 3D. And you can easily see the orientation of the target. So that's really neat. Lag pips and lead pips work sort of like before, so nothing really too new there. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate using the target whoever's attacking me button here. So it just picked like the closest person, the closest enemy. And now I've got lead pips, so that's what that looks like. Lead pips, lag pips, no real difference. Missiles are deadly, but flares work now. And you can actually see the missiles a little bit better on your radar, so I wait until they're close and I pop flare and I boost a lot. And they're still pretty, sometimes hard to evade. So, what else? See, this is one of the bugs, I think. Or I'm not sure if it's bugs or it's just the UI isn't working, but I can't seem to target this guy, so I'm going to use my... I had to use... Instead of target selection there, I had to use the... sorry, instead of lock selection, I had to use lock pin slot 2 when I would have rather just basically like target under reticle. But it's not working because it's bugs. Like it's not selecting this guy in front of me right now like I think it should be. To get it to sort of work around, you can do what I did, where if you happen to have them pinned, you can use your index pinning or cycle pin, or you can scroll ahead on your... See that? That's what I'm talking about. When you're in close range, the selection is kind of hard to see, especially on this map. And now that I'm farther away, it's easier to see that he's selected. But watch, when I come in close, see how hard that is to see sometimes? So I'm cycling right now between my selections. And that's what's giving me problems there. At first I thought it was bugged and it just wasn't selecting at all, and then I realized it was selecting, and it's just really hard to see when you're up close.
Shields recharging. Shields up.
See that? And then I just locked him with the 1 key. And that gave me my bracket back.
0 hostile contacts remaining.
All right, there you go. Hopefully that helps some of you. And I plan on making more videos explaining all the new stuff. But that's it for now. Have a good day.